that is happening today at 10 o'clock on Franklin Avenue as it relates to what I have labeled the privatization of recreation. And you may want to join the meeting, but there's an article that has come out, and it says New Orleans civic groups um, have gotten nearly $2 million to start new youth recreation programs at UNO. And we've talked about this here on the show, and I've given my perspective on it. I want your perspective. The number here is 504-582-9422. The article says, as the University of New Orleans merges with the LSU system, millions of state dollars are poised to flow its way, including nearly $2 million for youth recreation, part of a push by prominent attorney and New Orleans area business leaders who have long criticized the city's public recreation services. So I'm gonna stop right there because what I want and what I'm hoping, if you're within the sound of my voice, that you can hear me when I say we've seen this script. We know how it ends, right? Because I'm not really clear on what the motivation is here outside of what I believe the motivation is here. I see this as a repeat of what took place as the flood waters of Hurricane Katrina came in and decimated our city. There were already people waiting with bated breath to take over the public school system, right? And they did so by this same script. Listen to what this says. Part of a push by a prominent attorney and New Orleans area business leaders who have long criticized the city's public recreation services. Now, here's the thing. We don't duck criticism. We welcome it. We don't duck accountability. We actually want it. But why is it that every time there's a problem with something that is already in effect in a city, folk with these savior complexes find a way to come in and criticize it so much so that the very people involved in the system start to look at themselves and question themselves as well? Are there issues with North Sea? Absolutely. But guess what? The residents of New Orleans told you they didn't even want a sea behind North. And you ignored them and you created the commission anyway. And now we have the commission and we have folk volunteering their services, showing up every day for children without pay. And then you have folk criticizing a system that is rooted in volunteerism. If you have a problem with the system, if you see deficit areas, if you see where improvements can be made, I don't think the solution is to criticize a system, to welcome funding, and then take said funding and go over across town and create the utopia of recreation that you want for your children or the kids who are going to be able to reach the recreation that you're creating on the other side of town. Laura, I don't think that that's the way we ought to do business. When we find a problem with a system, why is it that we criticize it till we criticize it and run it in the ground, have the people confused about what's real and what's not real, having the folk who have worked in said system criticized? These are volunteers giving up their time to be with other folks' kids. Volunteering. That's the whole foundation of NOR programming. But see, these folk, the 18th ward, y'all have figured out a way to pay the people, right? And then I'm hearing children are going to be charged to participate. Now, if that's not true, you're welcome to call 504-582-9422. But I do know you're planning on paying the folk who are going to work, quote unquote, in this new recreation utopia that you're creating for the other kids across town. But you see, for our children, they rely on volunteers to give up their time. Why aren't you thinking about paying the folk who already volunteer for NORD? Why, when you collected this money or crowdfunding for this $2 million, why didn't a portion of that go to pay the workers who are already working for free at North Sea? See, this is where I have a problem with it. They find things here and then they look for gap areas and then they want to write grants and create funding opportunities, and then they start up their own little pop-up as if they used us for investigative reasons only. Don't that sound like an experiment? That's what it sounds like to me. Yeah, but you see, the reason why it's happening is because we invite them in. We invite them in. Why is it ringing on my side, Naren? It's ringing on my side. I don't know why. It is. I don't know. It's ringing over here. That never happened, y'all. I'm sorry. um, but but it very much sounds like an experiment to me. It sounds like, let's go in, let's see how they're doing it, let's see how they put it together, let's look for all of the ways that we can improve it, and then we'll just go across town and start our own as if we invented it. You know, that's what they consider innovation. Not an original thought in the recipe, but that's what they consider innovation. Let's go over and see what's wrong with the New Orleans public school system. Let's go in and look for all of the deficit areas. And then let's wipe it away, fire everybody, start over, and let's call it innovation. And 20 years later, the kids can't read on grade level. But because we got good propaganda and and good PR and marketing, we could go all around the country and talk about how good it is. We could get Doug Harris from over there at Tulane University and write about how well it's doing. That's what they're getting ready to do here. They have come here, surveyed the land, looked at all of the ways NORD isn't efficient, and then they wrote their little proposals and sold it to the community about how bad NORD is, how terrible the facilities are. But then when they get the resources and they get the funding and all of the things that they need to improve NORD, somehow they go and create their own NORD. Make it make sense. Good morning, Miss Alicia. I can't even pick her up. Good morning, Miss Alicia. Good morning,
I'm
Miss
here.
Alicia.
Can you
Welcome
hear
to the
me?
Good Morning Show.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Doc, let me tell you. See that word experiment? It's becoming a bad word. And that's exactly what's going on here, but not exactly. Uh, and it taking over just like the charter. I heard about 18th Ward a little while ago. And so I was just sitting back watching to see what they're going to do, how they're encroaching and stuff like this. So they can't wait to take over, like the guy who's over 18 Ward. His plans to take over like 5 or 6 parks. But now they're doing the mega parks. I guess that's going to be like the school board, the one at UNO. That's going to be the school board, and then they're going to eventually take over the parks. I'm sorry you missed the meeting the other day. It was a humdinger.
Hmm.
I am so disgusted with people and organizations who are supposed to be protecting and working for us, like the NAACP, who's in conjunction with this fiasco. Ronald Coleman didn't even show up for the meeting that the community had asked for. And they said he wanted to go on Zoom. He didn't even come onto the Zoom. I wonder why. I wonder why. And I looked, I was referred to, I said, I want to know who's all behind it. When I see 100 black men, okay, that's the same group that took this money from Leslie Jacobs to go along with the charter schools. And I said to, it was Michael Heck who led the meeting, and Laura was there, your good friend Laura.
Hmm.
She was there. And I said to them, why are you all doing this? If you all know that there's deficits, and we agree that there are deficits in Nord C, and I kept making them make a distinction. Don't call it Nord, it's Nord C that we're having the problem. You all been knew that. We've been complaining about Nord C. Deal with that. Put the money where it is. Bring the parks back into the neighborhoods. How these kids are supposed to get to UNO? Oh, we're gonna send buses like the charter schools,
Mm-hmm.
like you bus our children to from the West Bank to the East Bank. So this is what y'all chartering our schools, our playgrounds. And you know doggone well that that is not what it's for. That's to save UNO, and that's for those other people. That's going to be a Carrollton booster further in the eastern part of New Orleans. That's what that is. Uptown, downtown, Carrollton booster. Because Carrollton booster, they do their own thing. They get to have whatever they want to have. They get to have because we went before them when I say we, I'm talking about the boxing group. when we won the bid for the Junior Olympics, we had asked for a permit to get an alcohol permit to be able to serve beer and wine at the event. It was a 4-day event. We were told, oh no, and I'm gonna call it out. We were told by Larry Barabino, oh, we don't do that. Y'all can't get no liquor license. I'm like, really? Who's the we you're talking about? Because Carlton Booster Show does have a liquor permit. They sell alcohol at their events and even at their practices. So who's the we you're talking about? Because that is an option, an opportunity to raise funds. So you're going to keep us high and dry and don't do anything. We can't go further. We can't make any money. But Carlton Booster can do whatever the heck they want to do. Now, I told Mr. Heck and the other people around the table, if you knew that Nord C has problems, you knew that our playgrounds, our parks were not up to par for our children, that money should have been sent to North Sea with oversight. Have somebody there to watch the money to make sure the money goes where it needs to go. But no, we have people who look like us who work with them to destroy us. And that's what I'm disgusted about. I'll be there today. I'll be there today.
Absolutely. And
And I,
can you
and I have to
remind
let you know
people
about
where that
another
meeting
meeting.
is taking place?
It's going to be at UNO 6801 Franklin Avenue, 10 o'clock. They're going to be announcing the program. And we need some of our faces there to let them know. And in the meeting, when they were talking about, as if Nord needs to go, Nord C needs to go away. And I said, we need to bring back Nord like it was under the Morial. Dutch Morial had a fantastic Nord program, and so did Mark Morial. Had fantastic Nord programs, and that's what we need to get back to. Have a good
Thank
day.
you so much, Miss Alicia. Appreciate you.
Okay.
Listen, I can't even drop her. I don't know what's going on, but it's doing its own thing. Miss Jones, good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning
Yeah,
Show.
good morning. Good morning to everybody, and hats off to Miss Alicia. I don't know if I recall correctly when I told you about Nord back in, I think, October, November of 2010, and people didn't get out there to go vote, and it got commissioned.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this is what happened. I'm saying this now. People need to vote. They need to vote and pay attention because this Nord situation got all the way back in from 2010. When they
yeah.
say commission, taking public funds and doing privately what they want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well,
And
well, well, we have our eyes on it now, and the sad part about it is more often than not, these types of plans are already 10, 15 years in the making before we ever even know that they're on the radar. Because I tell folk all the time, but when things like this happen, it's the long game. Nobody just woke
it has
up
been
yesterday and decided to do this. No, this is 10, 15 years in the making, the same way they did with the school system. It's literally the same script. And it's and it's
exactly, and
and
it
it's so
goes further
sad.
back. I'm still looking for that document I copied from 1949 when they had plans to do what they did to the school system.
Yeah, this is
1949.
this is
I'm
a
going to
mess,
find it.
but
I have it.
hopefully we can get people there, Miss Jones. The meeting is happening today at 10 a.m., 6801 Franklin Avenue. So hopefully we can get folk there. I don't know what's happening here, but when we go on a break, we're going to figure it out. Thank you, Miss Jones. I
You're
appreciate you.
welcome. I
Have a
appreciate
blessed
you.
one. I can't drop her either. I don't know what is going on. It's Friday, y'all. And everything is going wonky around here, but we're gonna make it do what it do. But um before we go to break, I'll give you a little bit more of the article. It says a civic group behind the initiative called the NOLA Coalition, a collection of more than 500 nonprofits and businesses that focus on public safety and investment in youth services, called the press conference Friday to celebrate a new low-cost youth athletic program that will soon be offered at the university, according to coalition spokesperson Matt Wolf. Under UNO's transfer into LSU system, which Governor Jeff Landry is expected to sign into law this week, lawmakers in New Orleans legislative delegation secured millions of dollars for debt payments and deferred facility maintenance at the financially troubled university. At the same time, Landry, acting at the urging of attorney Laura Rodriguez, a longtime ally of the governors and other conservative leaders, secured $1.95 million to stand up the recreational programs at UNO, apparently without the knowledge of members of the New Orleans legislative delegation who said this week that they knew nothing about the plan. Listen, it's insulting to read this kind of foolishness to me. It's insulting. It's insulting. But what I do know is when these folk get their people in the positions of power that they need, they unify that power to secure what they want for their community and themselves and their children. And it always has to happen to the demise of other neighborhoods and other families and other children. Now, ask yourself why. If you want to pop up recreation that's privatized with your philanthropy dollars, then go do that. But you don't have to go to a public entity and disparage it and demean it and pull it down to the ground so that you could convince people that you need this money to show us how it needs to be done. If you want privatization, create your utopia with your money. But don't ask for our tax dollars to take our money and create your own private utopia for your children, like St. George is out there doing in Baton Rouge. All of y'all must sit in the same room smoking the same cigars and letting that smoke go to your head and have you believing that you could pull a wool over our eyes time and time again. A lot of us do see you. Most of us are ignoring what is happening, but a lot of us see you. We see straight through you. Allies with the governor. That's all you need in these days to create what you want. And disparage a whole nother community while you're doing it. Nobody's mad that you want to create your own thing, but do it with your own money. And you don't have to do it on the backs of disparaging something that is already in existence for children who can't afford to pay to play. Volunteers who are giving up their time freely. Those two systems shouldn't even be competing for resources because one is literally pro bono and the other one comes with an invoice. Stop playing with us. We see you. We have to go to break, hear a word from our sponsors, but when we come back, we'll hear from Rodney Samuel, CEO of OHUB, and Darryl Frater with this $100,000 startup investment challenge to ignite innovation in South Louisiana. Stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at what's making headlines. This year's legislative session is officially over, but lawmakers may be called back to Baton Rouge. Last night, Governor Jeff Landry signaled he might schedule a special session to discuss pharmacy reform. This after House Bill 358 was not voted on yesterday during the last day of the session. The measure would let pharmacists dispense medication outside traditional pharmacy settings and ban PBMs like CVS from owning and operating pharmacies in the state. Advocates say it would lower prices and make locally owned pharmacies more competitive, but CVS warns it would force them to close locations and increase medication prices. There's no word on when a special session could be called. Meantime, a legislative win for the French Quarter Management District, who can now procure its own emergency contract for garbage collection if the city can't facilitate proper services. The bill was created following controversy locally involving the city of New Orleans, Ivy Waste, and Henry Consulting. Finally, the New Orleans Wine and Food Experience is happening this weekend. 50 different restaurants and dozens of wineries are taking part in this annual event celebrating all things culinary in the Crescent City. For a full list of events, locations, and more, just visit our website, WDSU.com. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day and a better weekend.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Growing up, Wallace Peoples couldn't stay out of trouble. He spent time in and out of juvenile detention and was convicted of armed robbery in 1997 and sent to prison for 20 years. It was during that extended stay behind bars that changed his perspective and led him to reinvent himself. Today, Wallace Peoples goes by Wallo267, and he's dedicated his life to sharing positive messages, especially to those from underserved backgrounds. His greatest tool? It's humor.
You understand, if you can make somebody laugh, you can make them listen. And laughter don't got no race, no color, no age, no gender. That's one of the things that we all agree upon. No matter where you at in life, you want to laugh.
Wallo267 uses his ability to make people laugh as a hook to get them to listen to his advocacy for reform and to help other people from underserved backgrounds avoid the pitfalls that derailed his younger years. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
That's right. It's party time each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on WBOK. It's the Throwback Throwdown with DJ Wick as he brings you the best in old school from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the early 2Ks. Plus, the party goes to another level at 9 p.m. with the Throwback Throwdown Party Mix to round out the night. It's the Throwback Throwdown Sunday nights at 7 p.m. on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
Connect with NOLA Public Schools. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X for the latest updates. Sign up for District Digest, our official newsletter where we share district achievements, celebrate student successes, and keep you informed about our vision of providing a high-quality education. And don't miss our school board meetings. Watch in person or live stream on YouTube. Stay informed, stay engaged. Visit NOLAPublicSchools.com today. Again, that's NOLAPublicSchools.com.
WBOK and LCMC Health are proud to present Keeping You Well Cafe, 60 Minutes with LCMC Health, where the doctors speak directly to the people of New Orleans. LCMC Health is committed to improving the quality of care here in New Orleans, the Gulf South, and beyond. The Keeping You Well Cafe is another way for LCMC Health to engage with the community. At the Keeping You Well Cafe, LCMC Health joins WBOK and local businesses to answer your questions about wellness and health.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, and happy Friday, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Nyron Sanders. And right now, we're getting ready to jump into conversation with Rodney Sampson, CEO of OHUB, and Daryl Frater, talking about this $100,000 startup investment challenge to ignite innovation in South Louisiana. Good morning, guys. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing well.
You're doing well.
But considering all.
Considering all. Well, good morning, and thank you for being here with us this morning. So I just want to start off, Dr. Sampson, talking about the vision and the mission of this organization. What was your original vision behind launching OHUB, Climate Tech Accelerator, and the $100,000 Startup Investment Challenge?
Absolutely. So if we go back 26 years, there were only a few Black technology startup founders that had raised venture capital. There was Omar Wassel with Black Planet. There was Clarence Wooten with Venture Cafe, and then there was myself in Atlanta with Multicast Media Technologies and Streaming Faith. And we all looked up to Emmett McHenry, who was a mentor to us, and who was the creator of the .com and other technologies like TCP/IP. And so all of us had successful exits, and the exit is when someone comes to another company, buys your company. And personally, my wife and I decided that we didn't want to be the only one. That if our people were going to create opportunities for multi-generational wealth creation with no reliance on pre-existing multi-generational wealth, then we had to introduce more of our people to the technology startup world and the venture capital world. And so Opportunity Hub, affectionately known as OHub, was born over 12 years ago. 3 years ago, we were invited by Greater New Orleans, Inc. to join a competitive proposal made possible by the Biden-Harris administration through the Commerce Department's Economic Development Administration. That proposal was accepted and awarded, and we were also brought into that H2 the Future initiative, and that's how the New Energy Technology Incubator was born. As a part of the incubator, we run events, we run programming, and at the culmination of that programming, we have a pitch day, thus the $100,000 startup challenge.
So Daryl, when it comes to program design and applicant landscape, what types of startups apply to this cohort of the OHub Climate Tech Accelerator, and were there any emerging themes?
Wonderful question. We have applicants from all over the country applying to be a part of this program. Early stage companies that are building innovative climate tech solutions and new energy solutions are applying. We get about 100 plus applications per cohort, and we let in about 30 founders to the cohort. Those founders go through a 10-week program with rigorous training, teaching about entrepreneurship and company building, as well as getting them access to resources and capital. And those companies have done a really incredible job over the past 2 years of operating for us to help them build their climate tech solutions. We've seen a number of the companies that we've invested in through these cohorts go off to raise additional capital, gain customers, grow their teams, and have a tremendous impact in their communities. And we're super excited to be able to continue to do this good work to support these entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. And Rodney, when it comes to the community and the impact of OHub, why is New Orleans a strategic location for launching a climate tech movement grounded in equity and access?
Well, there are a few reasons for New Orleans. One, I was able to do my undergraduate work at Tulane University. I pledged Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated at Tulane, and I have a lot of friends that live in the region. But more importantly, when you look at the climate crisis and the new energy crisis that our planet is facing, New Orleans and South Louisiana are ground zero. There are reports that Louisiana is losing about a football size piece of land per day. And so you're sort of dealing with the erosion of the coast. You're also, dealing with the exacerbation of waste heat and, other things that impact the community. So if we're going to solve this problem for the region and the world, why not in New Orleans and South Louisiana, ground zero?
No, I absolutely agree. I appreciate you being here. And Daryl, what does a 3-month climate tech boot camp entail, and how does it prepare founders for investment readiness?
Yeah, really great question. So we really create an experience for these founders to learn from end to end the steps it takes to launch a climate tech business. We help them learn how their innovations are able to be accessible in the marketplace to create solutions that actually generate revenue and profit for their companies. We teach them how to go to market. We bring in experts that teach them in various areas of company building, and venture capitalists and investors that come and mentor these entrepreneurs. They learn everything from product development to sales and marketing to branding to fundraising, and they are equipped with the resources and connections to help them grow their businesses during the program and beyond. And as Rodney said, with the conclusion of the program, there's a pitch demo day that we host, and one founder from that group gets the opportunity to win $100,000 to go to their business. These founders are really getting equipped not just with the education, but also the resources, the connections, and capital to grow their innovations.
And Daryl, maybe this speaks to the next question for Rodney, because I want to know, how does OHUB work to ensure that founders are not only pitch ready, but also investment ready long term?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why Rodney brought me onto the team.
Right.
I've worked in the venture capital space over the past 4 years. I've invested in hundreds of entrepreneurs. And through my journey as a prior entrepreneur myself, actually during the COVID days, I was a founder myself, and I was a part of one of the OHUB programs when it was virtual, given I was living in New Jersey at the time, and learning so much from that experience being a founder in their program, coming back as an investor and teaching them the steps it takes to be capital ready from a founder perspective, and now using my venture capital experience and knowledge, I'm able to really have empathy for the founders and where they're at and help them get to the point that they need to be investor ready. So we brought in the right team, the right expertise, the talent and resources, and we really wrap these resources around these founders to get them ready and get them confident on how to secure capital for their businesses.
And so Rodney, how do you measure success for initiatives like this, just, beyond the investment winner? How do you measure success?
That's a great question. At the end of the day, when you look at what we call the practice of ecosystem building as it relates to the science of high growth company building, one, the company itself should be solving a solution in whatever context that problem is in. And then that should generate revenue, because if you have a business and the business is solving an existential problem that either people and or companies are willing to pay for, that's a business versus a hobby. And so we track revenue is very important, because revenue is then required for maintaining your employees, which is job creation. And ultimately, job creation, when these companies scale and get acquired, some may go public, more likely they are acquired or they pay dividends, then that creates wealth, and then those people go on to do it again, or they become investors like Daryl and myself. For cities and regions, when you create new jobs, they measure that by tax in revenue. In the community, ultimately, if you're from, let's say you're from Blight, or you're from communities that have been overlooked intentionally and unintentionally, when you're from that community, ultimately you can help change that community as well. And so when we look at how our world is changing, how our nation is changing, we have a deprecation of our federal workforce, direct and indirect hiring, and we have the acceleration of artificial intelligence, which means the writing on the wall is that there are going to be a lot of unemployed people unless, A, they start the right type of business that can attract customers and capital, and they get artificial intelligence skills ethically so that they'll be employable in what we call the fourth industrial revolution.
Absolutely. And Daryl, how do you ensure that startup founders get access to the same resources and rigor as those in Silicon Valley and New York?
Yeah, it's important for us to be super mindful of the challenges that founders face in regards to getting access to resources. If they don't have access to the resources, it's impossible to build. It's like to building a house without a hammer and nails. You just can't do it no matter how skillful you are. It's important for us to be able to do the work for us to get access to the resources, which is why we have amazing partnerships with individuals and organizations like GNO Inc. and our sponsors for the $100,000 Startup Investment Challenge block. These partners allow us to get the resources we need to get it over to the entrepreneurs to help them grow their businesses and be ready to go into the marketplace and help and succeed in those areas.
So, what would you say to early stage founders who are considering applying to the next OHUB Accelerator?
I would encourage them to, one, understand what problem you're solving, understand the innovation that you're building, and just go for it. We are a pre-accelerated program, so at any stage, whether it's an idea or you already have customers, you may apply to this program, and we'll love to help you in your journey to take you to the next level to build your climate tech innovation.
And Rodney, you've referred to this as not just a competition, but a movement. What does that movement look like in the next 3 to 5 years?
That's a great question. You referenced Silicon Valley. I can tell you in the next 3 to 5 years, the goal is actually not to become like Silicon Valley, where they have created sort of this false meritocracy on who gets their ideas moved forward and who don't. It's really time for our community to really think about what capital formation looks like into small businesses and startups, whether that be via equity crowdfunding. We're working on an initiative in the next year related to that, whether that is investing in startups for the high net worth people in our community, the successful doctors, lawyers, bishops, athletes, entertainers. They have discretionary income where they can invest in our venture fund that we're raising capital for right now. Our investment is a signal, and having been in this ecosystem for 26 plus years, having invested in over 225 companies and now 20 venture funds that would eventually go on to invest in 800 companies. I'm Rodney Sampson, originally from the SWAT, Southwest Atlanta. We need to create thousands of architects like myself, like Daryl, so that we can become our investors and not always looking to Silicon Valley or Manhattan. Last time I checked, they were not investing as much and they were seeking political power. So the times have shifted, and we have to realize that no one is coming to save us. And via organizations like Opportunity Hub, we will show you the way. We will give you the blueprint. We have the investment courses. We have the entrepreneurship courses, and we can teach you just like we were taught, just like we learned.
So, Daryl, talk to me about what excites you the most about the current cohort and their potential impact in the climate tech space.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. We have some dynamic founders that were in this latest cohort. This is our fourth cohort for the Climate Tech Accelerator, and we're just super excited to be able to welcome them to New Orleans. We have a diverse group of entrepreneurs building very, very innovative technologies. Some of them already have landed customers. Others are getting ready to launch their innovations. Others have amazing designs for their prototypes. And we're just excited about the energy that these founders are bringing to the table and the fact that they have a love and a heart for what they're doing and see how their innovations could impact the world. And we just really want to be encouraging to them, supportive to them, and really give them the resources they need to succeed and allow them to do the work that they do.
Absolutely. And so can either of you walk us through how the program supports startups in areas like product market fit, capital readiness, and leadership development?
Ron, you want to kick it off?
Did we lose him?
No, I'm right
no problem. I'll jump right into it. So we bring in expertise to teach various sessions throughout the 10-week program. These experts come from various backgrounds, whether they're successful operators, investors, ecosystem people, nonprofit leaders that come in and speak on various subjects. And these entrepreneurs get weekly 1 hour and a half sessions, as well as one-on-one mentorship from these great individuals that we bring in to speak to them. And through that process, they really get to learn things on a very intimate level on how to build their companies in those various topics. We also provide a lot of educational resources that they can do on their own time. So that way they get access to the program itself, but as well as additional resources for them to dive deeper in their innovations.
Well, absolutely. And Rodney, I want to know, how does this program reflect OHUB's broader mission of economic justice and inclusive innovation?
That's an incredible question. We were born on a path to level the playing field and create parity in economic opportunity, and that's been our mission since day one. We continued that message. That's just who we are, Opportunity Hub, OHUB. We're very, very intentional in doing that. Our entire team understands the vision and the mission, which is why, if you come on June 25th, you'll see the ideas and you'll see the actual real products coming from people that look like you and I, and from other people's contexts that were born, out of marginalized situations and have demonstrated the ability to literally build something from nothing. You can teach these principles, you can learn these principles, but you can't manufacture grit. You can't manufacture definitive purpose, and you can't manufacture integrity. And our people, have literally been born into that. We live it every day. And so we're helping people translate that pain into power and into products that the market wants to see.
Well, I absolutely appreciate Dr. Rodney Samuel, CEO of OHUB, and Darrell Frater for being here this morning, talking to us about this opportunity. And I heard you say June 25th. Is there a time and place that you want to share with our listening audience, and maybe
Yes.
some ways to contact you should they have any questions or want to know more about what you're doing?
Yes, indeed. Opportunity Hub on June 25th, Tuesday, June 25th at 6 p.m. Central Time. We'll be at the shop at CAC while Wayne is hosting. We have an incredible speaker, Anthony Oni, who has a venture fund with over $100 million. I talked to him yesterday. He says, look, I'm looking for companies in the climate, new energy, hydrogen space. And so he was very, very excited. And we typically have 5 companies. They were so good this time, we chose 6 companies. And those 6 companies will pitch for 5 minutes each, 5 minutes for Q&A, so a total of 10 minutes per company. The judges, we have an incredible slate of investor judges and community judges. And also the audience will have an ability to weigh in their selves as we select the winner of this $100,000 investment. And let me say this is not charity. This is not a grant. We are actually making an investment in a company in exchange for equity. And that signal is a signal that they'll be able to use to go out and talk to other venture capitalists and angel investors as well. So all roads lead to the $100,000 startup challenge on June 25th at 6 p.m. Central. Download the OHUB app, and all the information is there, and you can also register right in the app. And if you can't come live in person, you can also watch the event in our ecosystem app as well. Again, just go download the OHUB app on any device, and you'll be able to learn more about the event and register as well.
Well, thank you so much, fellas, for being here. I'd like to thank you personally, Dr. Rodney Sampson and Darrell Frater, for joining us this morning, talking about OHUB in this $100,000 startup investment challenge to ignite innovation in South Louisiana. The event is June 25th at 6 p.m. Please download the OHUB app to follow for more information. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate your time and your expertise.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a blessed one. Listen, I want to just, we have to go to break, but when we come back, we'll hear from Bishop Dr. Delbert T. Robinson from Greater St. Stephen's, talking about this Day of Empowerment featuring entrepreneur and philanthropist Dr. Willie Wilson. Stay with us right here, WBOK, 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Heat and storms continue. We'll see partly cloudy skies with afternoon highs in the low 90s, feeling like the upper 90s. Greater chance for afternoon showers and storms with the potential for heavy rain that could lead to flash flooding. Most storms fade by late evening. Lows tonight fall to the 70s. More chances for scattered showers and storms throughout the weekend with highs on Father's Day in the low 90s. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Accru NOLA invites you to join their community network in celebration honoring Juneteenth and Pride Month. On Thursday, June 19th, diverse professionals will gather for FET by Accru, an evening of authentic connection and collaboration from 5 to 8 p.m. at the lab on Ursulines Avenue. This safe, inclusive space brings together innovators across the greater New Orleans area and the Gulf South for meaningful conversations that advances your business and professional career. Accru creates pathways for sustainable growth through genuine community. So for driven networking like this, learn more at accrunola.com/RSVP.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
My name is Ariel. I moved to the U.S. at 19. I spoke no English and I struggled finding job opportunities. Everything I have, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and getting my high school diploma at age 22.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt, and my super producer, Naira Sanders, is also in the building with me this morning. I'd like to once again thank Dr. Rodney Sampson, CEO of OHUB, and Diara Frater for joining us this morning talking about OHUB and NOLA's return with a $100,000 startup investment challenge to ignite innovation in South Louisiana. And at the top of the hour, we'll hear from Bishop Dr. Delbert T. Robinson from Greater St. Stephen about the Day of Empowerment featuring entrepreneur and philanthropist Dr. Willie Wilson, CEO and funeral director of the Boyd Family Funeral Home, Donovan D. Boyd, will join us as well. But right now, I got a couple announcements to make, one of them being this Happy Father's Day Melody Cloud Singers Gospel Music and Concert Style is happening this Sunday, June 15th, 2025 at 4 p.m. at First Evangelist Baptist Church, which is 1801 Willow Street in New Orleans. Is featuring a couple of folk-friendly 5 gospel singers, Delivered of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Legendary Rocks of Harmony, Anointed Jolette's Singers, Zion Harmonizers, Mighty Supremes of Covington, Louisiana, and Leo Jackson and the Melody Clouds. You don't want to miss the musical. Come and represent a state. It is $10. We need your support. Keep gospel alive. This is Melody Cloud's 60th year anniversary. So please do what you can to support that. That is happening this Sunday, June 15th at 4 p.m. at First Evangelist Baptist Church, 1801 Willow Street. And also, Each and every month, the New Orleans United Front puts on its monthly town hall meeting. This month's meeting will take place Monday, June 23rd at 5 p.m. at Cafe Istanbul, 2372 St. Claude Avenue in the Healing Center. I will act as your moderator for that event. The guest panelist is Chuck Perkins. He's an author of a new book entitled Beautiful and Ugly Too. There will also be a meet and greet of all candidates for October 2025 elections. So if you are running for office, declared yourself a candidate for office, this is the meet and greet for you. It is taking place Monday, June 23rd at 5 p.m. at 2372 St. Claude Avenue in the Healing Center. So I look forward to seeing each and every one of you there. Prior to the break, we were talking in great length about this meeting that is happening today at 6801 Franklin Avenue regarding what I consider to be the privatization of recreation. And it is about this $2 million that they've, and they, I mean, all of the NOAA Coalition, 18th Ward, Laura Carazano, all of these, I guess, well-to-do folk in New Orleans who have found all of these glaring deficiencies with Nord C, and they want to create, as the article said, expand recreational programming, but they want to do it at the UNO facility. And, you know, I have no issues with expanding anything so that more and more children can benefit from it. But the problem that I'm seeing, and it's glaring to me, is this idea that you find something, right? And you have all of these issues with the something that you find. And instead of finding ways to shore up those systems and to pour the resources and the money and the people into a structure that already exists to properly expand it for more and more children, what you've done is to talk very negatively about the thing that already exists, to act as if the leadership for that thing is incompetent and you know, unable to actually effectuate the kind of change that is needed to improve the systems that are already in place. That's what you've done. You've gone on this smear campaign about Nord C and this smear campaign about the facilities and how, how denigrated they are, how bad they are, how they don't serve children properly. But that's all you've done. And then you've collected this money, and now you're going to go and create what you think it should be elsewhere. But where does that leave the thing that you found that you had all of the issues with? Where does that leave the thing that you found that you had all of the issues with for the children that they service? Do they not deserve to have improved systems? Do the volunteers who work for free in these systems not deserve to be compensated? Because I'm certain you're going to pay the folk over at UNO. So how about we think about how to compensate those people who have been volunteering themselves for decades upon decades to the city and the children of New Orleans? And then I'm also told the kids going to have to pay to play over there. If that is not the case, tell me about it. Or maybe I'll find out at the meeting when I go today. But I have questions. But what I'm sick and tired of is folk using the city of New Orleans, its children, its people, as some sort of guinea pig experiments in quotation marks. Because no, experiment, Miss Alicia, it's not a bad word. That is how we improve things, when we experiment. But experimenting comes with data. It comes with reports. It comes with baselines. It comes with following the improvements or lack thereof. That's what experiments come with. And so if you're just going to come in and collect what you deem to be data to support an argument of how you can do things so much better, how is it that you leave the thing in disarray that you found that you had all of these issues with to go and create a whole new thing elsewhere? Those two things don't coexist. But I'm tired of our children being used as guinea pigs, our city being used as the guinea pigs to talk about all of the things that are not going well and all of the ways you could improve it, but then you improve it for a certain demographic of people, certain communities, certain children, certain schools. There's no equity in that, and that will always be my problem. We have to go to break, but when we come back, we'll hear from Bishop Dr. Delbert T. Robinson from Greater St. Stephen. He'll be here. He'll be here as well with CEO, funeral director of the Boyd Family Funeral Home, Donovan D. Boyd, talking about this Day of Empowerment featuring entrepreneur and philanthropist Dr. Willie Wilson. Stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
New Schools for New Orleans is committed to keeping and finding great teachers for our students in Orleans Parish. If you or someone you know is interested in becoming a teacher for the 25-26 school year, let us help you. We've created the New Orleans Teacher Job Board, which is the official job platform of public schools in New Orleans. You can apply to any school in the city. Simply post your resume and provide information about yourself. Visit our website to learn more and apply. www.neworleansteacherjobboard.org.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Black LA Mayor Karen Bass is blasting Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem after Secretary Alex Padilla was handcuffed during a press briefing.
I served with the Secretary for probably about 10 years in Congress. And Madam Secretary, I do not recognize you anymore.
Bass questioned how police didn't recognize the senator and pushed back on Noem's claim that LA is a war zone. A Black Maryland mother who claimed her 3-year-old daughter was kidnapped is now charged with the child's murder. Darian Randall was arrested in Delaware, and her boyfriend, Cedric Britton, is charged as an accessory for not reporting the death of Nola Dinkins. And the Grammys are adding a new category in 2026 after Beyoncé's win for Best Country Album. The Best Traditional Country Album will honor artists rooted in classic country sounds. The existing Best Country Album category will be renamed Best Contemporary Country Album. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Back. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Right now, we're getting ready to jump into conversation with Bishop Dr. Delbert T. Robinson of Greater St. Stephen's. He's going to be on the phone talking to us about Greater St. Stephen's Day of Empowerment featuring entrepreneur and philanthropist Dr. Willie Wilson and CEO funeral director of the Boyd Family Funeral Home, Donovan D. Boyd, that is happening at 5600 Reed Boulevard, June the 14th at 1 p.m. Good morning, Bishop. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you, Dr. Wyatt?
I'm great. How are you?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you.
Well, listen, thank you for being here. We really appreciate you. So for our listeners who may not have heard, can you tell us what the Day of Empowerment at Greater St. Stephen is all about?
Absolutely. Well, we are actually calling it the Greater Day of Empowerment. It's a time where we expect for community and church to come together under one roof in the name of simply empowering our people in two particular areas. And I don't know if you want me to go that far yet, but it's really what it says. It's a day for empowerment of the people. This is so important to me. It's important to our church. In fact, it's one of the elements of our vision for this year. And so that on tomorrow at 1 p.m., that's exactly what we're doing. We're coming together, community and church, to empower God's people.
Absolutely. And this event is offering more than just inspiration. There's going to be music, fellowship, food, and even free gas and grocery cards. What led you and your team to organize something so impactful and wide-reaching?
Wow, excellent question. Excellent. Again, the vision of our church for this year is simply entitled, It's Our Time. And within that vision, there are three elements that we've really been leaning into, and those are the elements of edification, engagement, and empowerment. And so a part of the empowerment, the Bible simply says in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 34, that their weakness was turned into strength. And if you look at the events that are taking place in our country, we are at a turning point. So that phrase, weakness turned into strength, believe it or not, Dr. Wyatt, that whole phrase equals one word, empowerment. And I saw an opportunity in this very moment, precursor to Father's Day. Fathers being one of the most put off classes of human beings in our country right now, and that's a big shout out. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers and father figures that are listening. I saw a way that we could come together prior to Father's Day and empower our people in a way that affects us most. And a part of the inspiration, it's very morbid, but this is very priority. And that is when people transition, when death occurs, a lot of times in our churches, we go to the church, and many churches are struggling financially right now, post-COVID. Many trying to get back on their feet, a lot of them trying to get back to a particular place. They go to the church requesting some type of financial assistance, and now there are so many different awesome opportunities for us to plan for the afterlife, to plan for stability within our families. And we have to empower our people to take advantage of building their futures. And so as a result, we've partnered with Boyd Funeral Home, Mr. Donovan Boyd. He's going to come in. I'm going to interview him. We're going to have a candid conversation. We're going to talk about this GoFundMe debacle that many people lean on at the time of transition. We're going to talk about healthy ways that you can do future planning for your family. And yes, in addition to that, you're going to hear great music, have great food offered to you. And then also, we're going to do some powerful giveaways that will really be empowering. I think there's nothing like having power in your refrigerator and power in your gas tank at the same time. So we're going to bless the community from Greater St. Stephen.
Absolutely. And I see here that you have a number of special guests. You have some major community figures joining you, Dr. Willie Wilson, Donovan D. Boyd, Mayor LaToya Cantrell, and Councilmember Oliver Thomas. How did these partnerships come together, and what does their presence mean to you and to an event such as this?
Well, again, Dr. Boyd, Mr. Donovan Boyd, of course, because we've done so many different homegoing celebrations together, we are partnered with and friends of the Boyd Funeral Home. And again, shout out to him and every other funeral home, but this particular one focuses on him. So we're excited about that. Dr. Willie Wilson, again, is a friend of our overseer, Bishop Paul S. Morton. He is akin to me and co-pastor Jasmine. So he really also is a friend to Greater St. Stephen. Great individual. He's a humanitarian as well as a philanthropist. You've already said he's an entrepreneur, but he's in the area. And whenever he gets close to us, he reaches out and says, hey, I'm in the area. I want to come by, be a help, speak into people's lives. And he has a unique way of touching people, and we're grateful for that. And then, of course, Councilman Oliver Thomas, who also is a friend of Greater St. Stephen and has been exceedingly kind to me since I have come to this area. I've only been here now for 4 years, assuming the pastorate after my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, and of course, their eldest co-pastor Jasmine. We came back, she and I, to assume the pastorate, and Councilman Thomas has been a friend to us from day one. I remember him directly speaking to me and saying, hey, man, you got a responsibility to bring the kingdom of God into New Orleans in your own way, to do your part. And so we're always happy to have him come by. And then certainly, last but not least, our beloved mayor, Madam Mayor, we are always just grateful whenever she comes by. And she also is a friend of Dr. Wilson. So they're going to be coming together. So it's really just, and that's what empowerment does. It starts magnetizing people from every angle and every walk of life, because, again, the Bible is right that our weakness has to be turned to strength. And those that have influence, they bring that influence, and it really fuels the empowerment effort. So I believe it's going to be a great day, and I'm grateful to God for those that will be showing up.
So, in what ways do you believe events like this help restore hope and trust in the power of community?
Well, it builds up the Lord's church, that the Lord's church is not just a place for shouting, for being emotional and sensational, but it is a place, a beacon of hope, that it is the place where the Lord literally gets into the hands of his people and causes us to once again be able to hope again. And as believers, our hope is in the Lord. So this puts promised expectation back into the hands and the hearts of the people. If government fails, God won't fail. He always will open a door for his people to be empowered. And I believe events like this, it's going to put that empowerment, it's going to put that expectation, it's going to give people an opportunity to look up again. It may not be a whole lot, but see, if you have enough days like this happening in a consistent manner, it shines a light on, hey, again, government may not be able to do it, systems may fail, but God will prevail.
And how do you see Greater St. Stephen continuing to serve and empower people beyond this event? Is this part of a larger movement or vision?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just believe when you empower people like this, again, gas and groceries, you empower people where they need it the most, then it makes people come running asking, what must I do to be a part? How can I be a part of the move of God? And again, the move of God is not just interested in the shouting aspect. Empowering the community is just as much a part of our Christianity as the Bible is. And so therefore, the scope and the scheme is for us to be able to galvanize people to come into the house of God, find the purposes of God, which will show you the purposes of life. And that really is the big picture for us, that all might be able to turn to God and connect with his purposes.
And so why is it important? Because I heard you mention gas and groceries. Why is it important for the church to not only minister spiritually, but to also meet tangible needs like food and gas?
Well, if the spirit of a man is broken, if your spirit is broken because you don't have basic needs of survival, then it's impossible to tap into God, because then the theological question becomes, where is God? He doesn't love me enough to provide for my needs. And so therefore, providing just something as simple as gas and groceries. And again, big shout out to our gas vendors. We thank God for them, and to Winn-Dixie. If you can just simply show that God is a supplier. In fact, if you put it biblically, he is our Jehovah Jireh, which is Hebrew for he provides. He supplies all of our needs, but he doesn't open up heaven and, pour groceries out on us physically. No, he will put love and compassion and empathy into the hearts of those who have the resources and the means to empower people. And so this is what it's really all about, Dr. Wyatt, being able to empower people and to help them meet their basic needs, basic responsibilities. And someone who may be just surviving, our prayer is that this small, tangible outreach of empowerment will move them from surviving to thriving.
Well, if you're just joining us, we're in conversation with Bishop Dr. Delbert T. Robinson of Greater St. Stephen's. And Bishop, we have our own Greater St. Stephen baby in the studio with us in form of our super producer. But for those listening who haven't visited Greater St. Stephen before, what would you say to invite them to be part of this day and future gatherings?
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity again, Dr. Wyatt. It starts tomorrow, Saturday, June 14th. Greater is offering a greater day of empowerment. You could come out 1 p.m., be a part of this time of empowerment, this time of exchange of information, and be blessed in so many different ways. But then on every single Sunday, 10:30 a.m. You can have your face in the place at Greater St. Stephen. It's our time. We are edifying people. We're building people up. We're engaging. The power and the presence of God meets us on a regular basis. And even tomorrow, we're going to be empowering people because that's a part of our ongoing vision, to empower people to get to know God in a tangible way as your spirit is being made stronger. So every single Sunday, 10:30 a.m., you can meet us, or you can come and meet us in an intimate time of Bible study and what we call Word Explosion every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Now, big shout out. Listen, we are taking a break in the month of July. We call it Rest Month because we have so many workers that work hard all year long. They need a time to rest and rejuvenate themselves. But if you can't get us before then, come and see us in August, and we'll be there to bless you some more.
So how can people stay connected to the church and get involved, whether through volunteering, giving, or simply showing up?
Again, you can just come any Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. You can also find us on all social media platforms, particularly Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. If you just search for Greater St. Stephen, I'm sure you will see Greater St. Stephen on Facebook, Instagram. You can get connected. You mentioned it. You can volunteer. You can come out. I'm telling you, just stop by. It will be contagious. It will be infectious. You'll be magnetized. You'll never want to leave if you just have one good Greater experience.
Listen, I hear you, Bishop. And so I just want you to just culminate the conversation by telling us, how does the Day of Empowerment reflect the mission and heart of Greater St. Stephen as a church and community leader?
All right. Once again, Dr. Wyatt, and if you're just chiming in, thank you, Dr. Wyatt. Thank you for having me this morning. The Greater Day of Empowerment, again, is a day of inspiration. It's a day of information. We are going to be blessing people all day long. We want you to be there tomorrow, 1 p.m., Saturday, June 14th. It's going to be an awesome time. We have special guests. Brother Donovan Boyd of Boyd Funeral Home. I'm going to be interviewing him about how to secure your future for you and your family. We have an awesome entrepreneur that's coming all the way from Chicago, Illinois, Dr. Willie Wilson. He's going to come with a word of inspiration, after which we're going to bless the community with grocery and gas cards. So you have to be there in person to receive, and we're looking to see you. We also have special guests, Councilman Oliver Thomas, as well as our beloved Mayor LaToya Cantrell will be in the house. So it's going to be a great day. Great music, great food. You want to have your face in the place.
And Bishop, is there a final word of encouragement or blessing you'd like to share with our listening audience today as we prepare for the Day of Empowerment on tomorrow, June 14th at 1 p.m., happening at 5600 Reed Boulevard? Is there a final word of encouragement or blessing that you'd like to share?
Absolutely, Dr. Wyatt. The Bible says in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 34, it's right in the middle of the verse. You can go and find it in your Bible. Hebrews 11:34, one line. Weakness was turned to strength. If you research that phrase will lead you to one word, and that word is empowerment. And we just believe in this time and season that the Lord has given strategies to certain people of God to simply do that, to cause any weakness to be turned into strength. And that doesn't always mean we're going to shout. That doesn't always mean that we're going to feel some kind of gooey feeling. But that simply means when you get certain information in your hand, we're going to put the fruit so low on the tree that it hangs low enough for you just to reach out and grab it. You don't even have to reach up. You can reach out and grab it. And the Lord will turn weakness into strength. We're going to put groceries and gas in your hand in the form of gift cards. That's weakness turned into strength. So many people don't even have the ability to say, I have what I need in my refrigerator. I have what I need in my gas tank to be able to take their children to school, to get to work. And so if we can just help you somewhere along the way, we know that that's the essence of empowerment. And as Scripture has declared, your weakness can be turned into strength. Meet us tomorrow at Greater St. Stephen, again, 5600 Reed Boulevard, 1 p.m. We're going to be right there waiting on you because it will be a day of empowerment just for you.
Thank you so much, Bishop. And to our listening audience, Bishop Dr. Delbert T. Robinson of Greater St. Stephen's was here talking to us about Greater St. Stephen's Day of Empowerment, featuring entrepreneur and philanthropist Dr. Willie Wilson and CEO Funeral Director of Boyd Funeral Home, Donovan D. Boyd. That is taking place tomorrow, June 14th, 1 p.m. at 5600 Reed Boulevard. Thank you so much, Bishop, for joining us this morning. And hopefully the faces will be in the place for you. So I appreciate what you do for this community. And thank you for taking care of our greeter baby here, our super producer, Nyron Sanders. So shout out to your church house for that. Thank you so much, Bishop. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Listen, it's always good to talk to the folks from Greater, and you know, if you don't know by now, yeah, that's Nyron's church. So shout out to the family over at Greater St. Stephen. But listen, y'all stay tuned, because when we come back, we'll hear from Dr. Zeke Lombard and Dr. Leslie Brown from the Crew of Pyros, talking about their inaugural Crew of Pyros Barbershop Health Talks right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Missed a show? Want to hear that guest everyone's talking about? WBOK is now streaming on all your favorite podcast apps. Just search WBOK Media, hit download, share with a friend, and don't forget to rate your favorite shows 5 stars. Because when our voices are heard, our impact grows.
Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at what's making headlines. This year's legislative session is officially over, but lawmakers may be called back to Baton Rouge. Last night, Governor Jeff Landry signaled he might schedule a special session to discuss pharmacy reform. This after House Bill 358 was not voted on yesterday during the last day of the session. The measure would let pharmacists dispense medication outside traditional pharmacy settings and ban PBMs like CVS from owning and operating pharmacies in the state. Advocates say it would lower prices and make locally owned pharmacies more competitive, but CVS warns it would force them to close locations and increase medication prices. There's no word on when a special session could be called. Meantime, a legislative win for the French Quarter Management District, who can now procure its own emergency contract for garbage collection if the city can't facilitate proper services. The bill was created following controversy locally involving the city of New Orleans, Ivy Waste, and Henry Consulting. Finally, the New Orleans Wine and Food Experience is happening this weekend. 50 different restaurants and dozens of wineries are taking part in this annual event celebrating all things culinary in the Crescent City. For a full list of events, locations, and more, just visit our website, WDSU.com. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day and a better weekend.
Connect with NOLA Public Schools. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X for the latest updates. Sign up for District Digest, our official newsletter where we share district achievements, celebrate student successes, and keep you informed about our vision of providing a high-quality education. And don't miss our school board meetings. Watch in person or live stream on YouTube. Stay informed. Stay engaged. Visit NOLAPublicSchools.com today. Again, that's NOLAPublicSchools.com.
Hi, this is Cary Grant. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events and sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join us every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Cary Show.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
happy Friday. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, the one and only Naira Sanders. If you're just joining us, you missed a conversation with Bishop Dr. Delbert T. Robinson from Greater St. Stephen, talking about the Day of Empowerment happening tomorrow, 1 p.m. at Greater St. Stephen. He'll be joined by Dr. Willie Wilson and the CEO and funeral director of Boyd Funeral Home, Donovan D. Boyd. So if you want to join in that experience, it is happening tomorrow at Greater St. Stephen, 1 p.m. But right now, we're getting ready to jump into conversation with the crew of Pyros by way of Monique Rue Carnish here talking about the inaugural KOP Barbershop Health Talks. And if you were on the listening in earlier, I talked about how that's what the men are, and that's where the real conversations are happening at the barbershop. So ladies, if you ever want to know what a man is thinking, you go get your little lineup in the back and just sit down and take it all in, because the men are talking. And if you want to listen, it's happening at the barbershop. Good morning, Monique. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Oh, listen, it's my pleasure. So let's just talk about this. Why did KOP even think about making this an opportunity to talk health merge with barbershop talk?
So June is Men's Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
And so where can you go to meet the men where they are?
Good question. Lowe's or the barbershop?
The barbershop. Yes. So, as African Americans, Black and brown men, we have an issue with going to the physician.
Yes.
So let's meet them where they are. Let's go out into the community and at least give them a baseline. And hopefully with that baseline information, they will seek medical assistance.
Because sometimes it's just about finding the people and then bringing the information to them. So it's not about waiting for them to come to you or waiting for them to come to like a pop-up that's about health. Because more often than not, they won't, but they go and get that haircut.
Absolutely.
So if they're in the barbershop, let's just bring the information to them. I like the way Crew of Pyros thinks as it relates to that. So as the chairperson of the Health and Wellness Committee for Crew of Pyros, what was the vision behind launching the Barbershop Health Talks?
Being able to meet our men where they're comfortable.
Right.
I've sat in the barbershop with my husband and my son multiple times, and that's where they talk. They talk about
everything,
issues,
don't they?
Everything.
Yes.
So what better place than in the barbershop?
So you've spent your career advocating for nursing excellence and community wellness. How does this event bring those two worlds together?
It brings them together with me helping, knowing what's out there, what's needed in the community, with the help of Pyros and their followings, to bring everything together so that we can make this an annual event, make sure that men are not feeling overwhelmed, and that they can have true conversations with us.
Mm-hmm. And I think having it in a setting that is informal allows people to relax. I don't know about you, but when you walk into a hospital or a doctor's office, it always just feels so, so serious and kind of, but in the barbershop, you can kind of just lay back and have real conversations in a more laid back, transparent way, because the men do have real conversations. They talk about everything from basketball to health issues, sitting in the barbershop. And even during this election cycle, a lot of election talk happened inside of the barbershop. So I appreciate the idea of meeting our people where they are, but the barbershop is a place where real conversations are happening. So when will this, because it's the inaugural one, where will it take place?
So it's going to be held at Public Enemy Cuts, 1027 Cook Street in Gretna.
Oh, shout out to the West Bank.
Yes. It's going to begin at 8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Okay, and then how often are you guys looking to do this? Are you going to go from community to community, pick a barbershop in different areas of the city? How is that going to work?
Yes, so that's our vision, to be able to pick different areas and also branch out to our Washington, D.C. members, because, we're both in New Orleans and Washington, D.C.
Absolutely.
So we want to make sure that we can do that in both settings.
Okay, so what makes barbershops such effective spaces for outreach, education, and engagement in underserved communities? And I think we've touched on it already, but let's expand on that. What makes the barbershop the place?
Well, we know one thing for sure: our men are going to go get their hair cut.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is, like you said before, this is where they feel comfortable.
Yes.
This is where we can have conversations without them being guarded.
Yes.
We talked about the white coat
Mhm.
syndrome, which is when you go to the doctor's
It is.
office, you
It
get
feels
tensed
scary.
up.
Yes,
Yeah,
it feels scary.
everything just seems so sterile. Here, it's more relaxed, and you can feel comfortable with asking questions.
And I think the barbershop is one of those places that even though it's specific to most people look at a barbershop and think men, but that's a very gender neutral place
Correct.
because women are bringing their children. Some women are in there getting a line up because I know I gotta go get the back freshener because when you put your hair up, you want it to be neat back there. So you have women, you have men, you have children. I think it's a place where it's intergenerational. You have older folk, younger folk. So I think the idea of the barbershop to have these sorts of conversations to me is a wonderful idea. So shout out to y'all for thinking about it in that way. So how are you measuring the impact from this initiative? What outcomes are you hoping to see in the community long term?
So I would like to at least be able to touch at least 100 men. That's our goal since this is our inaugural event, at least 100 men. And then make this something that the men are looking forward to.
So how often are you going to do it? So you're starting on Cook Street on
Correct.
which day is that?
It's tomorrow, Saturday, June the 14th.
So you're starting on tomorrow, June the 14th. How often are you looking to do it? Are you doing it several times a month? Or are you doing it so what's the rate at how often you're going to do this?
Well, this one here was based on it being men's health wellness.
Yes.
So we'll look at other initiatives and see how often we can do it. But if this is a success and we see that this is something that the men are gravitating to, then we can definitely.
Oh, I absolutely believe it'll be successful.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, Monique, the conversations are happening anyway. All you're going to do is infuse an actual focus topic into the conversation because they're there. So they're going to show up. They're going to talk to each other. But to have somebody in there making certain that we're hitting these important things about men's health, with it being Men's Health Month, I feel like it's going to be successful. So maybe y'all need to start planning the next one and the one after that.
Absolutely.
Because I don't see it not being successful. Because as we said, it's amazing how open they are in the barbershop. You can just sit there and just take in the way they think, how they feel about certain things. And they're just openly having this dialogue across the barbershop, from one barber to another, from the barber to the folk waiting to get in the chair. So I see it being successful. And I don't think I've seen anything that the Crew of Pyros has touched that it has not been successful. Let's just start there.
Absolutely.
Shout out to the Crew of Pyros.
Absolutely.
Shout out to the Crew of Pyros. So as a nurse leader and local advocate, what would you say to other healthcare professionals looking to do more grassroots community work?
We need you. We need more boots on the ground. We need more healthcare workers given time.
Yeah.
So if you have the time and there is an opportunity, I would say definitely get involved.
And I think that is, to me, the most paramount call for a lot of our agencies in different facets of the community. Folk need to get involved because we have so much expertise, Monique, in our community. We have doctors and lawyers and, CNAs. We have teachers. We have every entity already in our community. But the problem is enough of us are not giving of ourselves to improve the fabric of community. So I like what you said, get involved. Sometimes it just takes maybe one day a month that you just give of service to your community. So I appreciate you saying that as well. So what advice would you give to someone listening who hasn't been to a doctor in years or is hesitant to get screened?
Please go to the doctor. It's very, very important. A lot of times when our men do go to the doctor, it's too late.
Yeah.
And as we all know, hypertension is a silent killer.
Mm.
Diabetes is major in our community, especially here living in New Orleans with all the
this
good food.
Rich food. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, find you a primary care physician. Go to a community health clinic. Get checked at least once a year.
Yeah, and I think we have a lot of health partners that come in and give information to us, and we often talk about the stigma around going to the doctor, especially when you haven't been in a while.
Correct.
You don't want to be judged. You don't want to feel like you're afraid to tell your doctor what is going on. But I always liken it to the same way you have to talk to your attorney to best defend you. You have to talk to your healthcare provider to best help you get the best path to having a real productive life. Because I think the not knowing to me is the scariest part.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like things are happening in your body, you just don't quite understand, but you're afraid to know. But I think the not knowing adds a level of stress that you could probably bring down if you just go and talk to somebody whose expertise that is. So how can community members stay connected with the work of the Crew of Pyros is doing year-round through its Health and Wellness Committee?
Stay posted. We advertise on social media. We do have a website. So we welcome anyone that's willing to partner with us to help out with us, because we can definitely use any of sponsorships for any of the healthcare companies or facilities that's looking to partner with some small groups.
Are you also on social media? Do you have any social media handles that you want to share with the listening audience?
Yes, we are on Instagram, Crew of Pyros.
Okay.
Facebook. So yes.
And what about the website? Do you have the website on hand that we can share? And if I can look it up and share it once the segment ends, it's not a problem.
www.crewofpyros.com.
Listen. I appreciate and love all of the things that the Crew of Pyros is doing. I hear so much about y'all's activities that go on. Is it like a 3-day weekend thing when y'all are having y'all parties and extravaganzas out there?
Yes, it is.
Look how you lit up when I asked that.
It's a wonderful affair. Yes.
It's a wonderful affair. So what can we look forward to in terms of if somebody wanted to be a member of the Crew of Pyros? How does that work?
Well, this year we have taken a pause on membership.
Oh, y'all have grown that big. We're taking a pause.
We're taking a pause on membership, but when membership does open, it is posted on our social media.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, that's a good problem to have when you have to take a pause on membership. So I'll ask you this question. What do you hope people walk away with, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally after attending the Crew of Pyros Barbershop Health Talk?
I hope that it stimulates them to want to be aware of their health and their wellness, and that it would take away the fear of going to the doctor to have these annual checks.
And listen, because it's Men's Health Month, and it's Father's Day, right?
Correct.
Too. So we just talking about the idea of the bishop was on prior to your segment, and he was saying how fathers are not really like exalted the way that they should be. And I always share the data here on WBOK. Black men are real fathers. Like they're in the homes taking care of their families. And I think being in the barbershop, and I think what you're trying to do in terms of health, I think we're going to uncover a whole bunch of issues that men just want the opportunity to express. Y'all might turn into a little therapy session for a lot of these men. I'm serious because men carry so much, and it's stigmatized to kind of like express yourself and to be vulnerable enough to say when you're struggling or when you're hurting or when you need help, which I think makes it even much more harder, or just harder to just be present and to show up as your authentic self, because there's so much judgment around strength. What does that look like in a man? Like weakness is strength. Being able to say I need help is strength. And so to me, I think what you're getting ready to tap into in terms of these barbershop talks is about to blow your mind. So be prepared for that. Like they're probably going to unleash things that they weren't even thinking themselves that they would share. So it might start off with health talk, but I think it's going to be a Pandora, and the box is going to open, because more often than not, people just want somebody to listen. And that's what they get in a barbershop. Men listen to other men in the barbershop. And so I want to be able to be updated on how it's going. So after you do your first event, if you want to come back and share with us some of the takeaways from it and maybe what you're planning to do for the next one, because I don't see it stopping at just Men's Health Month or just with this one that's happening really pretty soon. I think this is going to be something that is taking place with your counterparts in Washington and here, and it's going to blow up just like the Crew of Pyros blew up, and then y'all gonna be saying we're gonna have to take a pause on the barbershop talks because they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And so I pray that happens. But is there anything you want to leave our listening audience with as it pertains to the barbershop talks, or if it pertains to the Crew of Pyros itself?
Well, this definitely aligns with the Crew of Pyros' vision and mission to provide representation of Louisiana's culture, arts through unity, charity, and celebration. So these characteristics symbolizes the organization's community outreach initiatives aligned with our motto that we're illuminating the path to empowerment.
Absolutely. And I think too, Dr. Zeke is not here, but I absolutely want to mention that it's important to have the conversations around prostate health, heart disease, mental health in spaces like the barbershop. Because as we stated, the barbershop is not a place where you have to be politically correct. You don't have to say all of the right things. You don't even have to know the questions you're asking. You just have to put the information out there and let somebody whose expertise that is kind of guide you in the direction where you're trying to go. And that's why I think it's so important for folk in our community who have different skill sets and different expertise to come together for something such as this, so that we have somebody in the room who can answer the question from an expertise platform, right? Because the questions and the concern is often there, but they don't have the right person in the room to be able to give them the right kind of information. So I think you're onto something. I love going to the barbershop. I have a 19-year-old son. He gets to go on his own now, but I loved taking my son to the barbershop to engage with Black men about topics. And even one that comes up in the barbershop a lot is this battle between Black men and Black women. And it's good to have that conversation, Black woman to Black man, to say there is no competition here. Like, we love you, Black man, and Black man saying, I love you, Black woman. That happens in the barbershop, and people don't know that it's happening. So I think it's a fallacy to think that Black men don't honor and love Black women. I think it's a fallacy to think that Black women don't honor and respect Black men. And I think if you go to the barbershop, take your grandbaby, your cousin, your nephew, somebody, and go sit in the barbershop and hear what those men actually have to say. I think that's the purest, most honest that they've ever been in their life inside the barbershop. So shout out to the crew of Pyros for putting this event together. And shout out to Miss Monique Rucarnish for joining us this morning, talking to us about the inaugural Barbershop Health Talks. And again, once you have your first one, please come back.
Absolutely.
And kind of update us on where you're going to go from there and how we can help amplify the mission of what you're trying to do to target health, especially in Black men. So we appreciate you for joining us this morning.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to go to break, y'all. But when we come back, we'll talk to you. I want you to actually call in. I don't know what's going on, but I have some avid listeners that always call in and talk to me. The number is 504-582-9422, because there's some things we're going to jump into on the other side of the break. We're going to talk about the Tulane scientists that resigned, citing university censorship as it relates to pollution and racial disparities in research. We know that is happening. We know that folk are often put under gag orders, so they can't tell us about it. But when this Tulane scientist was offered the gag order, she turned it down and she resigned instead. Shout out to you, Black woman. We're going to talk about it right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Heat and storms continue. We'll see partly cloudy skies with afternoon highs in the low 90s, feeling like the upper 90s. Greater chance for afternoon showers and storms with the potential for heavy rain that could lead to flash flooding. Most storms fade by late evening. Lows tonight fall to the 70s. More chances for scattered showers and storms throughout the weekend, with highs on Father's Day in the low 90s. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
On Auto Trends with JeffCars.com, here's a snippet of some of what we cover. GPS pioneer Gladys West.
We worked long hours computing trajectory orbits and satellite orbits, trying to get the data and everything correct enough.
Auto analyst Mark Bland.
14 new vehicle deals that happen in this country out of every 100 that women don't have a fingerprint on.
To tune in, check out Auto Trends with JeffCars.com, Saturdays at 4 p.m. on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month by the community scientists at Rise St. James. This month, we spotlight phthalates, chemicals added to plastics, especially PVC, to make them more flexible and durable. But there's more. Research shows phthalates may disrupt hormones, affect reproductive health, and contribute to environmental pollution impacting our communities. Join us as we explore how these additives shape our everyday lives and the world around us. For more details, visit risestjames.org. Empower your knowledge with Rise.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 12:30 a.m. on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Brian Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Friday, everyone. I want to thank our previous guest, Miss Monique Rue Carnish, representing the crew of Pyros, talking about their barbershop health talks. Thank you, Monique, for joining us this morning. We absolutely appreciate you. If you're just joining, prior to the break, I was talking about the Tulane researcher who resigned on Wednesday, citing censorship from the university leaders who had warned that her advocacy and research exposing the Louisiana petrochemical industry's health impacts and racial disparities in hiring had triggered blowback from donors and elected officials. And that is something that I think we really need to start to examine and think about, because I can remember, and it's so... It's so, I don't know, because the article I'm reading is from WDSU, and if you know, you know what I'm getting ready to connect here. But I can remember a story being done on the state of our schools here in New Orleans, and it was supposed to be a 3-part series, ended up being a 1-part series, because just like this Tulane researcher, it is our belief, the community's belief, that there was blowback from those who were maybe sponsoring things on that particular station, buying ads, and I think it started to disrupt their fiscal foundation. And we know when people start to threaten the money and things of that nature, it's hard to continue to do the work that you're trying to do because you fear that funding is going to be disrupted, and that happens a lot in this country, where big money donors and people who have a certain level of affluence in communities dictate outcomes for poor people because they have the money to do so. I fear a world where the truth is suppressed because it's disrupting wealthy donors. And the truth is that there are real health disparities, racial disparities that are happening in the petrochemical industry, which is why you see certain developments happening around predominantly black communities that they wouldn't dare pop up around predominantly white affluent communities, because they know what poisons they're putting out in the air, what poisons they're putting in the soil, and they don't want to put their people on it, so they sell it to our communities. Talk about Cancer Alley, because that's what the research was talking about. And then they were threatening a gag order. They wanted her to be under gag order about her research. But I think it's mighty funny how Doug Harris can put out all this research, talk about how great the schools are doing, and nobody is censoring him, because it plays into the narrative, right? The Charter Industrial Complex is a multi-billion-dollar industry at this point. Just like the petrochemical industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And if you look at what they have in common, it's the disservice of poor, marginalized communities. That's what it is. That's why your plants are in communities of people who you consider undesirable, right? That's why you experimented on a school structure that had never been done anywhere else on a predominantly black community. And that's why you are replicating it in other predominantly black communities. Go anywhere and see where they put grain trains around black folk. Go anywhere and see where you see a whole level of pollution where animals can't even survive. Black folk. That's not by happenstance, that's by design. So I appreciate this researcher for taking a stand. Shout out to you, Kimberly Terrell. She accused the university of sacrificing academic freedom to appease Louisiana's Republican Governor Jeff Landry. That's a bold statement. Protect her at all costs, because we know what the cost of saying those words mean. She might find herself unemployable. She might find herself they try to discredit this sort of advocacy. It's scary what money and power can do, especially when the money and the power is governing impoverished, vulnerable communities of people who don't have the power, the money, the resources to fight back. Good morning, Miss Anita. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Hey, did y'all hear about the New Orleans port coming to St. Bernard Parish?
Go ahead. Say that again. I'm sorry.
The New Orleans port coming to St. Bernard Parish.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so we voted it. We didn't want it in the parish, but they're making all kind of things. They're going to put it there anyway. Mm-hmm. We voted not to have it. And they're putting it in the black community, Violet.
Yeah.
Where predominantly black people live. So Absolutely. They're going to bring this port down there when the people said they didn't want it. And we still fighting for it. But they're still going to try to go on ahead with it. And guess what? They are going to really try it. No matter what our vote is, we've been having these community meetings. And the next time we have one, I'm sure try to invite you down to it.
Please.
So you could see how the people don't want it there.
Oh, I believe you. I know they don't want it there. We have the same issues going on here. We had folk living on toxic soil for decades, and then they had to fight to be removed off the toxic soil after people were dying.
Oh, I listen to y'all every day. Every day I listen to the shows, and I listen to them. And I had commented on about it, I think on one of the other shows, about how they was going to do it no matter what the people say.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Miss Anita. I have but a few minutes, and I want to wrap the show properly, but I thank you for calling in. I hope you keep listening, because I'm going to keep talking about it. We appreciate you here. Thank you so much for your call. All righty. Listen, I want to also highlight another part in the article. It says that according to emails obtained by the Associated Press, university leaders wrote that the work of the law clinic had become an impediment to a 2-lane redevelopment project relying on support from state and private funders. Did y'all hear that? They're basically saying this researcher's findings was threatening a redevelopment project. And what they mean is they didn't want her talking about it. And if she talked about it, they were going to pull funding from this project. That's what they were saying. Well, how could you call research an impediment when the research is giving you the actual outcomes of something? You see how that works? When we're looking for reports on actual outcomes, they hide it when it doesn't jive with the narrative. But when they find the data that goes along with the lie that they want to sell, they publish it all over the place. How could it be an impediment if it's the truth? How is it an impediment if it's telling you exactly what this is doing to a certain demographic of people? I know y'all might not think our existence is worth existing, but we do. I love the fact that Kimberly Terrell is a black woman, because a black woman can see what is happening from a different lens. Because, see, a white researcher, right? White researcher, you don't have the lived experience or the lens that she has to point out these health impacts and racial disparities. Because what she sees as a disparity, you probably see as a normality. And that's the problem. There's nothing normal about what is happening here. And God gave me the gift of a voice, and I'm going to use it each and every time. And if you want me to stop being angry all the time, because that's your label, not mine. If you want me to stop being passionate about things all the time, then stop mishandling my people, and I would stop. We ask for equity, and all y'all keep giving us is experiments. We ask for equity, and all y'all keep doing is messing with data. We ask for equity, and all y'all keep doing is moving the line to create the fallacy that what you're doing is working. This is sick. And Kate Kelly, the Landry spokesperson, denied the governor threatened to withhold state funding. I cannot remain silent as the university sacrifices academic integrity for political appeasement and pet projects, Terrell wrote. Our work is too important and the stakes are too high to sit back and watch special interests replace scholarship with censorship. That is because he's lockstep with his commander-in-chief, who also doesn't want real information to be put in history books and in museums and in places where researchers can go find the information. He's lockstep with his commander-in-chief. We in Louisiana are a mini version of what is happening on a national level in terms of censorship. The same way that he's using Congress to circumvent the democratic structure, that's exactly what he's using the Louisiana legislature to do. To walk lockstep with him under threats of not conforming. If you don't conform, then we're going to come for you. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. That's why we have anarchy all over the place. But thank goodness for judges who have some common sense. See, the federal judge that told Donald Trump that you can't just send the National Guard into this state without the governor wanting them to be there. So now the federal judge has said that the National Guard is back under the control of the governor of California, as it should have been to begin with. Because, see, this is about him thinking that he's a king. He's not. Him thinking that he's a dictator. And then it's about our governor believing that he can somehow mirror dictatorship in the state of Louisiana. Because I believe you threatened to remove funding. I believe it. I don't believe you, Kate Kelly. I don't believe you when you say you denied that the governor threatened to withhold funding. I don't believe it. That woman risked her entire career to say what needed to be said because you were trying to suppress her. Why would you put a gag order on a researcher about petrochemicals? Why? Because what I can guarantee you is what you're doing in black communities, you would not do in white communities. And that's a fact. I know y'all don't like to hear that, but you wouldn't do it. Just as the miseducation that you're feeding to black children, you would not do that in predominantly white communities. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't allow people to walk out of Victoria's Secret and walk into schools and make curriculum for children. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it. So what I'm going to say is people need to start standing with folk like Kimberly Terrell. And we need to stand against big money interests that like to buy their way into different avenues of our lives. They buy their way in. Bought their way into our school system, bought their way into our culture. Now they're about to buy their way into our recreation. And then when black folk try to pool their money together and try to do things to uplift marginalized communities, then the government steps in and say, you don't get to do that specifically for black people, as if white folk haven't specifically been doing that for white folks since the inception of this country. It's the hypocrisy for me. But listen, y'all, at 10 o'clock, 6801 Franklin Avenue, there's a meeting that you should be at. It's focused on the privatization of recreation. This is an attack on North Sea so that they can build their own recreation facilities across town at the University of New Orleans. But I don't know why you couldn't just do that without disparaging the entity that already exists. That's a question that I need an answer to. Y'all stay tuned. Up next for the Front Porch with Graylin Nakimba. But as far as the Good Morning Show, Dr. Ashanta White, my super producer, Naira Sanders, and my co-host, Will Sutton, we're going to see y'all next week. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long. Happy Father's Day, fathers.